you knew that, Vince and Shane had some history together, but at the same time, you didn't realize that it was kind of that bad. I mean, it's one of those things where, well, it is what it is. So next week, we already have announced that it's going to be the tag team titles defended against AJ Styles and Chris Jericho. They also have announced the return of Shane McMahon to Monday Night Raw. And also, next week, Saturday, they have also announced a new WWE Network exclusive. It is going to be WWE Roadblock. And the main event has been signed. It's going to be Dean Ambrose versus Triple H for the WWE World Heavyweight title. Oh my God. Guys, WWE, listen. Pull the damn trigger. What I'm saying by that, turn Roman heel. Let this be the one event where you guys pull the trigger on him, and either, I see two scenarios happening. Either Roman Reigns, celebrates with Dean for winning the title, and then just beats him down, powerbombs him through a table, whatever. Or Roman Reigns costs Dean Ambrose the matchup with a spear and having Triple H get the win. And again, saying, I don't like the fact that my boy Dean got to the title before I did. So I took his opportunity away from him. Make him just a badass heel. And then you can make a awesome Fatal 4-Way match at WrestleMania. Come on, please. Let it happen. Turn Roman heel. Make it a Fatal 4-Way at WrestleMania. And you know something? You could put on another matchup. It would be freaking awesome. Please, WWE, for the love of God, just do it. Turn Roman heel. Turn the match into a Fatal 4-Way. It's different from a triple threat match that you've done for 2 years straight. Come on, guys. You gotta do something different. Anyway, that's my rant about WWE Roadblock. I'm sure it's the second annual one, because I'm sure they've done something like that in the 90s. Anyway, talking about TNA, just got done watching it. It was honestly a pretty decent show. I mean, they kicked off with Bobby Roode versus Kurt Angle on Kurt Angle's farewell tour, and you got to see the best of Bobby Roode. You got to see the best of Kurt Angle, just putting it all on the line against each other. You got to see Bobby Roode locking the crossface and hit the Roode bomb. You got to see Angle hit the Angle slam and locking the ankle lock. He locked it on both ankles. That's the weird thing about it. Is I don't think anybody noticed that. He locked it on, I think, his left foot first, and then he locked it on his right foot. And then it finished with the left foot. Kurt Angle wins by submission. So Kurt Angle's got a little bit of momentum going into the final matchup against Bobby Lashley. I believe it's going to be either next week or 2 weeks from now. James Storm and Bobby Roode were talking about thanking Kurt Angle and stating that, hey, you've done so much for us. We may be TNA originals, but you are indeed a TNA legend. That is a statement that I cannot disagree with, because if you look at Kurt Angle's career, TNA is where you've seen the best of Kurt Angle. You've seen so many great matches from him when he's fighting with AJ Styles, when he's fighting with Sting, when he's fighting with Samoa Joe. So many of the greatest matches in his career have happened in TNA. Is he going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame? Of course he is. And you would be stupid to not mention the fact that he was in TNA throughout his career. And he deserved to be a TNA Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't even care if that thing's a farce. It's one of those things where at least they showed recognition for Kurt Angle's accomplishments. It works for him. But then you brought out the Wolves because Kurt Angle basically hyped up Wolves versus Beer Money for next week for the tag team titles. And no, they are not having Beer Money cash in their Feast or Fire briefcase deal. This is a matchup that the Wolves said, hey, we want to put the titles on the line. We want to prove that we are not only the greatest tag team in the world today, but we are also the greatest tag team in TNA's history. And James Storm actually said that we're not here to prove that we are the greatest team in TNA's history. We're here to enforce that fact. And that was just awesome. I loved it. And they have a great stare down, handshake. Great. I'm looking forward to seeing Beer Money versus Wolves next week. So then we move on from there to a very dull segment in which Matt Hardy talks about what Rockstar Spud does. Rockstar Spud comes out and he talks about why he did what he did to EC3, costing him the TNA World Title, and it was basically on revenge. He said, you humiliated me in front of my UK crowd, in front of my hometown, and I humiliated you by taking away the one thing that you desired most, and that's the TNA World Heavyweight title. So Rockstar Spud just keeps talking about how he's now a member of the Matt Hardy brand. For those of you that think that, Magnus was the worst TNA champion ever, I'm sorry, but he is now just so much not even close. Because Matt Hardy is now the worst. I'm just going to say that right now. I do not even care. But we go from that to having EC3 come out, and he tells Spud, I don't want you in a matchup. No referees, no disqualifications, no legal fees. I want a fight against you. Later on, it would be announced that Rockstar Spud would be facing EC3 in a match that is unsanctioned. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the unsanctioned deal in just a bit. But we go from that to a matchup that features Eric Young facing on a local wrestler. I don't even know who this guy was. He was just some guy from Belfast, Ireland. I don't know. I just didn't really understand what he was all about. But it was for the King of the Mountain Championship. Eric Young won. And him and Bram are just probably going to have a nice little hardcore orgy in their bedroom or something like that. For those of you that think that's weird, you look at these guys. They're crazy. Let's face it. I did actually forget to mention that Jimmy Havoc went 1-1 against DK's Abyss in a no disqualification matchup, which was honestly really good for honestly the most part. There was one point during that matchup in which I saw Abyss grabbing a cheese grater. Now, for a lot of you that don't know the history of Abyss and cheese graters, you'll need to look at a matchup that featured him versus Bully Ray, and you'll know why oh my gosh, I cringe so much when I see that, because I think to myself, oh god, he's going to just tear this guy apart. If he's going for the head, it's like, okay, that's okay. But for those of you that don't know, there was a Monsters Ball match, I believe, between Bully Ray and the Monster Abyss. And the Monster Abyss had a cheese grater. He pushes it on Bully Ray's nuts, and he just grinds it right up his crotch. And I'm just thinking to myself, oh my god, that's horrible. It just makes me cringe. That's one of the worst hardcore moments ever. I know a lot of people are thinking like, oh, you're just being a baby about it. I don't care. It's one of those things where, real or fake, it makes you think so many different things, and it makes you rethink your future if you're a wrestler. I'm sorry, but it does. So Abyss did not get a chance to do that, but Jimmy Havoc did do it to the Monster Abyss, and I thought, oh gosh, well, that's going to rethink his career. The matchup ended with Jimmy Havoc grabbing a barbed wire mat, putting it in the ring, and he was going to use Janice on the Monster Abyss. Unfortunately, Abyss grabbed him. He was going to go for a choke slam, but Havoc used the kendo stick, took down Abyss, and then we saw... Yeah, that's my cat. Whatever. Then we saw Abyss hit a huge, monstrous black hole slam to Jimmy Havoc on that barbed wire mat. 1, 2, 3. Abyss comes out victorious. A very interesting matchup. Well, actually, it's going to be a segment and then a matchup that soon followed. They had a segment between Gail Kim and Maria, which honestly, I am baffled by this, because here's the thing about this, is that Gail Kim wants a fight with Maria. That's step one. Step two is that Maria is just coming out saying like she's a role model for kids. She's, just like this miracle for the Knockouts division. She's going to make everything all better. And then she made the poor mistake of mentioning that she was on The Apprentice and that she was talking about that, she was working with the greatest entertainer of all time, Donald Trump. I'm just thinking, no, you've already lost me. No. And then she mentions the Playboy deal, and I'm thinking, oh, so you want to be a role model, but you're going to mention the fact that you posed nude for a magazine. Yes, all little girls want to hear that. It's like, oh, mommy, I want to be like her. Oh, that's not that hard. All you have to do is get naked in a magazine. Oh, gosh. I'm horrible for saying that, but it is the truth, though. With Maria, I mean, she talks about how Gail Kim married a chef and had their wedding publicly known on a national television deal. Honestly, I'm okay with that, but it's kind of one of those things where Maria is doing such a good job of being that heel that everybody wants to see Maria just get her head torn off by Gail Kim. Unfortunately, that's not what happened. Gail Kim was at the point where she's just, cringing her neck, and she's just like, this girl's getting under my skin. And Maria's saying, you want me to go in? You want me to fight? No, that will never happen. Maria starts to leave, and Gail's just like, oh, it's going to happen. I'm just going to have to bring it to you. So she runs up. Maria's just freaking out, like, oh, no. And she runs off. Gail Kim tries to go after her, but then we see Jade from the dollhouse appear, and she beats down Gail Kim, knocks her out with the Knockouts Championship, indicates she wants in line for the Knockouts Championship. So obviously in the near future we're going to see Jade versus Gail Kim for the Knockouts title, because Jade does own a pinfall victory over Gail Kim in the, I think it was the Knockouts Lethal Lockdown matchup from what I remember. Yes. So we go from that to a match between Drew Galloway and Mike Bennett, which, again, great matchup between these two very gifted, very athletic superstars. Drew Galloway, somebody who I've gotten the chance to talk to, an amazing athlete and a very amazing, charismatic person. I thought this matchup between him and Mike Bennett was great because Mike Bennett looked like an actual heel, and Drew Galloway was, again, proving that he's going to be a guy who's going to be just so great as a TNA champion. I'm looking forward to that day. So the matchup ended with Drew Galloway locking in a submission maneuver known as the Iron Maiden, and we see Maria actually help Mike Bennett get to the ropes, and she does this classic deal. If you ever see Maria in this New Japan segment with the Bullet Club, she does this thing where she does almost like this dance on the ring apron, and Carl Anderson and AJ Styles are kind of dancing along with her, like, yeah, and then Doc Gallows just stops it, and he's just going like, I'm gonna hit her, and Maria just gets down, and she's like, no, I'm down, no hit, no, don't hit me. This is basically the same thing she did there, because Drew looks over at Maria, and Maria's just like, I had nothing to do with it, I didn't do it, I had nothing to do with it. I'm like, oh, that's just amazing. Mike Bennett then takes control after the distraction using a roll-up with a handful of tights, and Mike Bennett, the Miracle, gets a victory on Drew Galloway in that matchup. Then we go on to the main event segment, which was the unsanctioned deal between Rockstar Spud and EC3. And this was just a almost near one-sided, but Rockstar Spud had some great moments where he did actually put up a fight, where he actually gave EC3 a low blow. He punched him in the face a couple times. He didn't get a chance to do the underdog maneuver, which, well, it is what it is. But EC3 just, threw him into the bars. He threw him into posts. He used weapons. He even sent Rockstar Spud through a table, and it ended with EC3 locking in a Cobra clutch on Rockstar Spud, and it ended with Rockstar Spud just getting choked out. He's tapping out, he's screaming, and referees are coming out saying like, hey, he's had enough, and you hear EC3 screaming, are you happy, Spud? Are you happy now? Are you happy? EC3, again, phenomenal heel, amazing babyface. He is going to he's going to make things just so, he's the only reason why I watch TNA now. I'm just saying that right now. Him, Drew Galloway, and Bobby Roode are the three top reasons. EC3 is number one, Drew Galloway number two, and Bobby Roode at number three. Sorry, guys, if you're offended with that order, but it is what it is. Well, that is going to wrap it up for the not the squared circle, the